charging settings. Ah! Let's do that again. I don't know why it dissolves. Welcome everyone to this week's show. As you saw on the overlay, today is show 101. So thank you to everyone who came out last week. We had a big show, and I gave away $3,700 worth of stuff. Mostly like subscriptions and cloud stuff, not like physical prices. But we did have a lot of people entering a lot of contests, and one of those winners is actually with us today. And I'm very happy for all the people who entered the contests and who won, and I hope those prizes serve you well. The way I set up the prizes is that each individual item had its own entry form, which one or two people complained about. But what it did was it allowed people to enter for those things that they wanted. You can enter for multiple things. And don't enter for the things you don't need, because like if you don't have a YOLO box, there's no point in you entering or me giving you an award of free bonding for a YOLO box if you don't have a YOLO box. So this way it made sure that the people who won something could actually wanted it and could use it. That was the goal, and I think that really paid off last week with the people. And at the last minute, Bird Dog chipped in their brand new Max camera. So I'm going to give props again to Bird Dog, because that's nearly like an $850 prize. Bird Dog chipped in a Max camera, and that, of course, received the most entries and was given away. So thank you to everyone who entered, everyone who watched, everyone who participated, and definitely thank you to all the different sponsors who were part of the show last week. Actually, let me I think I go over to this one. Yeah, and we do this, and then I come over to, if you go over to the StreamTek site and click on the 100 giveaway, just to give those sponsors props again and get rid of the ad that's popping up on there. PTZ Optics gave away a 1-year Hive subscription, which was worth $270. So thank you to PTZ Optics. That lets you control a PTZ Optics Hive enabled camera from anywhere, locally on the local network, or you can have people come in from the cloud and control it. And so you can bring in a camera op who's not even in the same city. Restream gave away 3 professional licenses. So as I say week in and week out, I'm using Restream for today's show. It manages all the comments. I'm sending out to 5 different destinations. So if you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and LinkedIn, you're watching it through Restream. And Restream handles all the comments for me. That's why I use it for both of those things, because it's also pulling the comments from those 5 different destinations through APIs, which I can't do through various hardware yet. So Restream is provided that to 3 people. They don't sponsor the show, but they gave that, so I'm definitely giving them props for that. YOLO Live gave away a 3-month YOLO Cast plan. YOLO Live gave away a free NDI activation. So if you had a Pro or an Ultra that did not have NDI activated, that's a $100 gift right there, and it gets turned on, and boop, everybody's good to go. And YOLO Live also gave away 3-month bonding to somebody who wanted to do bonding. Video Guys gave away a $100 gift certificate to someone. Blackmagic gave away DaVinci Resolve Studio, which is $295 worth. If you have Mevo cameras and you use the app to do Mevo Multicam, the Mevo Pro gives you NDI capability, mobile device as a phone capability, a bunch of different added-on features. They gave away a 1-year license to that. That's $228. Central Control, Joe Max from Central Control gave away Studio Max for $249. That was very generous of him. And Bird Dog gave away their brand new Max. I guess it's a Max show. Bird Dog Max hybrid camera, which is kind of like the X1, but without the Wi-Fi and without the SDI. So it's kind of a trimmed down version that is just HDMI and just NDI, no SDI, no wireless, anything like that, but kind of the same camera. And it's available in a bunch of cool, well, not a bunch of cool colors. It's available in like this eggshell blue and this greenish, as well as white, tan, and black. So 5 colors. So That's pretty cool. And thank you again to all of those sponsors. You know, again, they provided the prizes. There's no actual sponsor of the StreamTek show yet. I hope maybe somebody. And that was somebody just asks, how do we get the win and stuff? The people who won last week, I forwarded their emails to the respective manufacturers and distributors, and they are working it out directly. I don't have any of this stuff. I'm not giving it out. That's one of the reasons I wanted like mostly cloud subscriptions and stuff, because this way I could just send the email along to Mevo or whatever and be like, okay, this is the person, you go handle it. Because I don't do any I don't do resales. I don't sell you stuff unless, of course, you need consulting, in which case I will sell you consulting. It was a fun show, great prizes. I've always been contacted by both companies, such fun. Yes, he won 2 prizes. But then again, I will also say right here, I'll get this right because it's on the McKee Academy of Arts and Sciences broadcast. This is a school. It teaches television broadcast. So I'm very happy that prizes were won, because right here they are going to be leveraged to teach kids about television broadcasts. So that is very, very cool. Let's scroll back up here, and as always, I love to say hello to everyone. And of course, Urban Media Showcase was actually the first comment. He says hello. Thank you very much. Where are you watching from? And because I always love to know where everyone is watching from, because this is a worldwide show. This is the magic of streaming, is that you are here, I am here. I am not AI generated. I am not a bot. I'm not going to like magically search the web and provide you with a wrong answer. If I don't know something, I'm actually going to say I don't know. And I may say that today. Mike Sabatini is watching from snowy LaSalle, Illinois. Very good. Thank you for having here. And Eric Jan van den Bogaard is watching in the Netherlands. Thank you very much. Ah, he's watching in New Jersey. Thank you. The McGee Academy of Arts and Sciences is watching from Pico Riviera, California. Ooh, Daniel Monteiro is watching from Portugal. I don't get Portugal in here very much at all, so thank you for being here. Angus Findlay is watching from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, the better half of North America. Kirk Riley is watching from Dallas, Texas. Kirk and I had a chance to get together recently, and that was cool. Saul and Joliet TV is watching from Chicago. I had a couple questions come in. Urban Media Showcase asks, have you ever used a Zowie box before? Works pretty good for NDI and has a tally light that works with vMix. I have not. I will have to look into that. And because this is an interactive show, and I admit I don't know everything, I actually keep a pad of paper here for things that you tell me, Zowie box. So I'm taking notes from you today. So thank you for that. I will look it up, check it out. Maybe we can get a Zowie box on the show. That would be kind of cool, don't you think? It was a fun show. Yeah, we got that one. Greetings. Unfortunately, I didn't win anything. Yes, I'm sorry. Not everybody could win. It was a big audience and only, what, 7 some prizes? It's nice that the company supported you so much. I'll wait for my presents till Christmas. Yes. Again, I'm very thankful of those companies that I have built relationships with, that I could reach out and ask them, and they actually said yes. So again, thank you to all of them. They are very, very generous. Wolfgang is still in Germany, and Andreas is saying hello from Greece. Oh, my son is studying Greek on Duolingo, and if I had him here, he'd probably be able to have a conversation with you, because he's getting pretty good at it. And that covers all of the questions and everything. And again, I always say this is an interactive show. You're here, I'm here. If you have a question, it doesn't have to deal with the topic of today's show. It doesn't have to deal with using layers. It could be about anything. Feel free to throw it in the comments, questions, comments, things like that. I have the comments up here on the screen the whole time so that we can have this dialogue. But let us get to the topic. So today I want to talk about using layers, and it's a new way of thinking about television production, because previously with hardware we had an A bus and a B bus, and then you could put one over the other and then maybe a key. So you got technically 3 layers. And then you had like mix and effects buses. So you could actually have something in ME1 and ME2 and then put those together and put this construct together. But you're using all these buttons and everything to create a construct, what Blackmagic, what do they call a super source, you know, where all these things are kind of put together. And that's kind of where we were for many, many decades of gear. And now with software-based solutions, whether they be computer-based or tablet-based or whatever, now it has become more akin to using like desktop publishing software. You have layers and you can put anything on all of those layers that you want, move them around, resize them, shape them. And so today we're going to talk about using layers. I'm not going to talk about the old methodology so much, but more about the using layers. So let us get started with that. What I have is, go overhead. I have, well, that's a really close shot. I didn't get that set up. So I have 3 devices here. I'm going to talk about vMix. I'm going to talk about the OBSBot Talent, and by extension, the Magewell Director Mini, but I'm using an OBSBot Talent. And I have a YOLO box, which is one of the most popular tablet-based solutions out there. I have the Ultra, but what I'm going to talk about applies to all of them because they all operate almost identically. And I'm going to let you guys pick the first one I talk about. First comment in as to which device I should start with gets to that's the one we're going to start with, because I'm prepared to work with any of them, and I'm got my eyes on the comments right now, waiting to find out who's fastest on the keyboard to tell us whether we should go with vMix, OBSBot Talent, or a YOLO box. I think I know what the answer is going to be, but we'll wait and see what it is. And till then, oh, you know what I should do? I'm going to start, while I'm waiting for that, I am going to start my Instagram. I am now live. So hello to Instagram. Still waiting for comment. Nobody's chimed in yet. I guess everybody's waiting for everyone else to do it. And it doesn't work that way. That's a live show. You are the crew. So I'm going to put this over here. And then I'm going to, let's say left. I'm aiming another camera here. And I'm doing it on Instagram because right now I just went live, so nobody's watching it. Of course, if they go back and look at it. All right, so now I can come over here and say, so I got like an array of stuff. This is the vMix, this is the OBSBot, this is the YOLO box, and you can see I've got these cool stands on here. This one's got kick-out feet, which is really cool. These are by these are PK1. These are 3D printed, and they got metal standoffs, and I worked with them to help get this one made for the OBSBot Talent and the Director Mini. Specifically, they first designed it, and you couldn't put the batteries on the back. So I told them you got to make room so that people who want to have batteries on the back too, it's sort of like a battery backup. So it was rejiggered and everything. And so again, they're not a sponsor of the show. They should be. And they sent these to me, and I did a show talking about stands, you know, these and other ones. So the first comment has come in. The winner is vMix. So we're going to talk about vMix, which is over here on this laptop. And I believe that's going to be here. Yes. So what I have here is I have vMix. If you haven't heard or used vMix, I have a vMix show already on vMix Basic HD, which is limited to 4 inputs, but is only $60. And vMix is not a subscription. It is pay once, it's yours forever. So you pay $60, you could use it for 5 years, which is incredible savings. But vMix Basic HD is limited to 4 inputs, which is really, really limiting. Obviously, as you can tell right here, I've got more than 4 inputs set up. So each of these little boxes is called an input. So, and I just threw a bunch of stuff in here. Let's see, make sure I get the right cursor. Over here, I've got a little video. I can play that, put it on loop. So that's a little like a video background for news or something like that. This is also a video. I can play that and put that on loop. So that's just like water kind of and stuff. I got a little bug. I got a lower third. I got a plain background. I got this thing. It's a horizontal shadow. That's going to be interesting when I try that out. And then I've got this guy talking over green screen. So with layers, I mean, the layers in vMix are very, very, very obvious. So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to add another input, and I'm going to add a color. So I just usually add black. So this is it. I'm creating something else. So now I've got basically a new blank page. I can build on any input has these layers right here. I have all of these layers on every single input. Let me make that a little larger. I have all of these layers on every input, and you can see on these layers that I can put anything, any of the sources on any layer. So I've got black. Black is my base layer. So let's just say I want to do that input 1 as my bottom. Oh, you know what? Right now I'm trying to figure out. So there I got that. Next layer, I want to do 7, which is the guy talking, the green screen. There you go. So that's over top. You see here, it's a little bit of a misnomer. You're working down the list here. So 10 is actually the layer that's on top, even though visually here, 1 is the layer that's on top. It's actually reversed. So that's a little tricky bit with that. But as you can see, I've got this layer here. This is actually a video as well. So I'm going to click play on this. I'm going to click loop on that. But you can see it's playing on this 8, this color. So you know what, first thing I want to do is I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this scene 1. And then we're going to go back into layers. This layer, as you can see, it's just stock footage from iStock, and you can make it bigger, or you can go and edit this layer itself and then change the zoom and everything. So he's talking about the weather, whatever. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the original one, and I'm going to go to color key, turn it on. Use the little dropper tool, there you go, and then hit one of the presets. Now it's all clean, except for the iStock. Again, I'm not using this as for distribution, so now you see him over top of the background. I'm not gonna bother to try and make it super clean. It's just a demo to show layers. But you can see he is over top of the background here. But now if I wanted to add my logo at the bottom, that's another layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into this, back into my layers, and then my third layer I'm going to do with the banner. So there's my StreamTek banner. And then of course, just like the other ones, I can come in here, I could size it down, I can put it in the corner over here and stuff like that. There's other borders and cropping, and I'm not going to quite get into those just yet. One thing I do want to do is I do want to take this guy with the layers, and you see they got the names, so I can easily get to him. And I think he's coming in too far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot him over, because it's a layer. I can move this layer anywhere I want. I can have him just like down here. See that little black bar at the top? This is where cropping can come in. If you wanted to reposition it, I can crop just not the X, but the Y. Crop just that off. So scoot him way over here. Actually, you know what? The one thing you can't do on here is you can't take something and move it to a different layer. So I'm realizing I would love to have him higher up in the layer structure. So I'm actually going to move 7 up here. And you can see right now, this is kind of crazy. You're able to do it twice. So let me move this, crop the top, And sizing is fine because let me move him over here. There he is. He's over there. And now I can go back to my layers and put this back to none. So now he's there, he's talking about this. What I want him to do is I want him to be talking about something. And I can make that window a little bigger too. Oops. Don't click off of it, click towards the end. There you go. So I want him to be talking about something. So what I'm going to do is in these in-between layers, I am going to add, let us add just this. I don't have like an image of stats or anything like that. I should just for demonstration purposes. But now we're going to take this, we're going to size this down. I'm going to move it over. So now he's going to be talking about this thing, right? This very interesting thing. I can put a border on it that's white. Let's make it 4 pixels. Yeah, maybe even 4. 6 pixels. That's good. And we'll radius. I don't know how the radius works, so I never really use it. Tab 8, 20. There we go. Nice rounded edges like I use here. And you know what? I'm going to make that a little bigger. So there, now he's talking about that. He's in front of it. And that looks pretty cool. So how many layers do we have going on this already? So I have the background. I have the flowy water. I have the guy talking about the flowy water. I've got the logo. I got 4 layers going. But let's just say we wanted to add some depth. I've got this little trick that I use. I come in here now. I want to make sure it's under, but I have loaded the horizontal shadow. And this is one that I created. It's a PNG file. And with the horizontal shadow, I can take that, I can size it, and then position it in front of or behind that 16 by 9 window, and it gives some depth to it. So that's a little cheat that I've used a couple times in terms of creating depth in this otherwise flat construct, just by creating this horizontal shadow in Photoshop 16 by 9 of a black box, and then just blurred the heck out of it, and then I saved it as a PNG. And that way I can load that into whatever I'm building as a soft shadow, which none of these devices have built in. They don't have soft shadows like that. So it gives something like, ooh, look at that. That's kind of snazzy. Like, what'd you do there? So that's one little trick that I do in terms of creating layers in vMix. And you can see how easily this comes into play. Now I've got this scene. It is pre-built. It is all done. I hit cut and there it is. And I've got 10 layers. And then the crazy thing with vMix is this input over here has 10 layers, and I can put that into another input and that into another input. You can cascade these things. One of the things that used to always get me is if I take this and I put this into another input, let's just say I'm going to put it into 5. So I've got this background that is not big enough. Doesn't matter. Oh, let's go to the background. Main. There. Now it's big enough. And I bring in, on my layers, I bring in 5. Or I bring in that scene 1. Here's my scene 1. It's too big for this. I'm going to edit this. I'm going to size it down and everything. But let's just say I wanted to have it more narrow, and I wanted to crop the StreamTek off the bottom. So I'm going to go into cropping, and I'm going to copy crop X2, which is the bottom, and it doesn't do anything. Because the way vMix worked till this year, it's only cropping the lowest layer, which is the black background. It doesn't crop anything else above it. And that has been a big problem for me and a lot of other people. And yeah, this is not, I didn't update this one. So the cheat for that has always been in vMix. If you have an older version and haven't upgraded to the newest, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this, is you add a mix, which is you add the other way. You add a mix, you select 8 as the scene, cut, that's your output. Now, by adding it through a built-in mixer, now that has flattened it. So I will show you the difference. I'll go back into here where I've got this, and instead of using scene 1, I'm going to use the output of the mix, which is the same thing. But when I go to the crop, it works like you expect it to. It crops all the layers together. Now, in the latest version of vMix, they have added a command in any input called flatten. And that works just like it does in Photoshop, where you have all these different layers. It flattens it into one composite so that when you want to crop the sides or the top and bottom or whatever, it does it to all the layers. So that has been a godsend. So yes, I used to have to use the little extra mixers. There's 4 mixers in the top version to flatten this thing, or you could send it out NDI and bring it back in NDI. It's just all these different workarounds to get it to be flattened, which is the term. But thankfully, in the latest version of vMix, they have added a flatten command that is available in every input. So you can then come over here and say, oh, okay, this is my scene, flatten, and then bring it into something else. Oh, thank goodness. You can drag the number that changes the layer the man is on. Ooh, let me try that. Thank you. Let's go back into our thing here. So let's go back into the layers. Let's just say I wanted to have this drag the number. Look at that. Haha, little vMix. Oh, I didn't show you. Let's make it super big. So what he's saying is you can drag the number. So you come over here, you click on this and you drag it. You're not really seeing, there's a tiny little dotted line box over there, but if I move it and let it go, look at that. That is, yes, thank you for that tip. And that is one of the amazing things about vMix, is that it is such a deep application. I don't think there's any one person other than the authors who know all of the cool features about vMix. I am always learning. Yes, I have the show. Yes, I'm giving you the knowledge I've gotten so far, but I am happy to learn more. I am happy to admit I don't know everything. There are tools I haven't used yet, like the Rodecaster Video. I haven't used it yet. I haven't been able to get them to send me a demo unit, or the Mevo Core. I would love to test these tools, learn about them, and keep building on my knowledge of tools that are available. Oh, this is the wrong key. So this is this mouse. I got two mice right next to each other. Layer reordering is very handy. I've used that extensively. Yes, I didn't know about that cool little drag and drop trick, and even seeing it, it's sort of like, I mean, I'm gonna forget that. Being able to like select the number and drag it to a different layer. Oh, that I've had to like work around that several times in building multiple layers. So I could use Blackmagic Ultimat 12 HD Mini with YOLObox Ultra for keying. Blackmagic Ultimat 12 HD Mini. Man, I'm gonna have to look that up. That's just a lot of things. So I know what Ultimat is, Blackmagic Ultimat, but the 12 HD Mini with YOLObox Ultra for keying. YOLObox let me lose my hypertext, but keying is still not as clean, and there's not any foreground keying. Yes, the keying in the YOLObox is pretty good. I have to admit, the keying in YOLObox is surprisingly good for an Android tablet that is super simple controls. The keying in the YOLObox is better than the keying in vMix. I find the keying in vMix, I wish I had a soften on the edge and it's a little crunchy for me. But that's just my experience with it. Hopefully they can refine that keying engine now that the hardware we're using is becoming more and more powerful, and give us more fine control over the keying. If you can't really see it on this clip, but the guy's hands kind of vanish and everything. So the keying is not super great. And keying quality really always starts with the quality of what you start with. If you start with a really clean, good, keyable background, it keys really well, keys easier. And you start with 4K, it keys cleaner, things like that. So Haven't had to try the new flatten function yet. I really should. Flatten, I've begged for that for like 5 versions. When I first got it and I had to do this wonky workaround, I begged for flatten. I said, dude, this has got to flatten. It makes no... I told them that I can see no case, never can I figure out a use where I would want to create me over a background and then put that into something else, and when I crop it, only want to crop the background and my hands would go past the border. I don't understand why I would only be cropping the background but not my layer. That makes no sense to me. I could not figure out any use case where if I want to crop it, I want to crop all of it, all 10 layers. But that is water under the bridge at this point, because now the latest vMix, which is I think 28, doesn't say what version I'm on. Yeah, I know it says update available. Angus says, my first live keying experience with the Panasonic MX-20. Oh man, I remember that thing. That was a rough and nasty keyer, and it was also standard def, I think. So yeah, keying in standard def was just scratching fingers on a chalkboard is what it is. Agreed. Is there ever a use case for time code in live streaming? That's a good question, and like I said, this is an open forum. You're throw whatever you want in there. We'll keep going with this. Is there ever a use case for time code in live streaming? Not really. There's a use case for genlock, which is not time code. Time code is where you're feeding multiple cameras a series of time code, like zeros and ones, so that each frame is stamped, in the metadata. And that way, when you want to sync them up later, they have time code on them. In live streaming, what is more beneficial is genlock, which could just be blackburst. It doesn't have to actually have any numbers. What blackburst and genlock is, it's basically the sync pulse that's telling all cameras to start the frame at the same time. So if you have a broadcast camera, most prosumer cameras, most camcorders, most DSLRs don't have the ability to do genlock. But if you have a broadcast camera, it's going to be able to be genlock so that all the cameras they're basically hearing a drum beat, tick, 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 and that's when they start the frames. They all start the frame at the same time. What that means is when that video comes in, I don't even have one here to hold up. When the video comes in, like if you have a YOLO box and you have 3 video cameras coming in, they're not genlocked. So if you were to try to dissolve between them, one frame could be part way down and the next frame is starting over here because they're not in sync. Genlock puts all the cameras in sync. Without that, any switcher that does not have genlock in it, because the switcher also has to be on the same genlock, that switcher has to then rip apart every single video signal that comes in, find out where the start of the frame is, and then rebuild it to the internal sync of the device so that it can then dissolve between those frames, because as this is, both those frames have to be painting at the same time. So in live streaming, if you have genlocked cameras and a genlock switcher, there's no resync happening, and you're actually passing the signal through a whole frame faster. So if you also, in live streaming, but also in iMag, when you have to have the image of the person talking on the screen behind them, it has to come through your switcher and get back out there as fast as possible. You don't want to have somebody move and then have the image move behind, 5 frames behind. So every frame you can get closer to real time is great. So in live streaming, genlock can be key. When you watch the Super Bowl, every camera is genlocked. And if the camera's not genlocked, it's passing through a device that rips it and genlocks it. So those little portable DSLRs and things like that, they're used in various places. They're passing through a device that is genlocked to house, and it's taking that signal in and providing a genlocked feed. You can just time code to trigger parts of your show, which is common in concerts with backing tracks. Very rare for plain live streaming, though. Yeah. Thank you, Angus. I mentioned this before, but that same standard def era, I used to use a Sony SEG 2550 switcher. It needed everything to be gen-locked. Yes, back in the day, there was no systems that handled non-synchronized sources. And even, you know, you don't have to go back too far. The very first Blackmagic ATEM switchers required every source to be the exact same format. So if you had the switcher set to 1080p 30, it had to be receiving from every camera 1080p 30. You know, oh, we're doing to do this one at 720, and if you plugged in a 1080 camera into a switcher set to 720p, it was not resyncing it. It was not converting the signal at all. It wasn't doing it. It would just show you a black input. I don't know what that is. Today's switchers, people have it so easy. I just plug it in. I don't even know what the frame rate is of that camera. Plug it in. There it is. I got it. So people are happy. Is it 1080p 30? Is it 1080i 60? Is it 720p 60, 30, 50? Don't know. Don't care. It's amazing how much functionality we can fit into a smaller box now. It is amazing how much functionality we can fit into a smaller box now. I can sync two cameras, two non-synchronized, non-same format cameras, switch, record, everything with an Android tablet. It is, I agree, it is absolutely crazy. So let us continue along. Let me get rid of this. Let us continue along, and I will go left to right. So vMix Genlocks for iMac. No. The vMix does not work on Mac. There you go. But there are other programs. You can get OBS, which has the layers thing. You can get StreamTek. There's lots of programs. And I'm just showing you these three as an example. But there are other programs for Macintosh, and layers, you know, layers are layers. It's just a great way to, vMix. So vMix Genlocks for iMac. You can actually get video cards that will go into desktop PCs that will genlock. So that way all the video signals coming in are already synchronized to the card, to the computer. That way you can alleviate that. Yeah, vMix doesn't do genlock as such. But I'm going to disagree, Angus. It's a little bit, it's not all that good for iMac, way too much latency. It can be a fast path with a fast computer because it actually tells you the millisecond processing time. And my render time is 4 milliseconds. That's not a lot of time, you know, and then, you know, having a card that's genlocked for the cameras in and cameras out. And I believe I have read there's a place somewhere in the settings that you could turn off the resync and just accept them as they are. That can give you a little bit more of a headway. Why vMix not for Mac? Because they are the guy who authors it writes for Windows. He doesn't write for Mac. But there are other choices for Mac. So let me continue along here. As I said, I have two other devices. I'm just going to go, since we started over here with vMix, I'm just going to go left to right. And the next one up is the OBSBot Talent. So let me go to, I have the Talent over here. This is the Talent. And if I bring this up, boop, boop, boop. Okay, you don't have my overlays. Let me turn the overlays on. Duplicate screen. There we go. Now you can see what I see on the screen. And you can see right now I've just got this chalkboard as a background. And the OBSBot works kind of the same way. They look like inputs, you know, like I can come over here, I can go HDMI 1, there's my camera, save, boom. I'll come over here, here's camera 2, there's my background, save. Okay, great, I've got these inputs. But each of these inputs is also a scene. So I can go back into HDMI 1, edit it, and say, you know what, when I cut to this, I also want to add a picture. Let's go back to my media. StreamTek, and I want to do that banner. So there, I got the banner, and the banner is over top. So I can take that, I can put that down here, and then I want to add some more. Let's go back and get another picture. It should go into the same thing. I want to do the letter mark circle. There it is. It's way too big. We can size that down. We can put that in a corner. So now I've got 3 layers already on that input. And you can come over here to the layer. You see this little down. I can move it down a layer, down a layer. Now it's behind what I've done by clicking that. Let me go over top. I clicked this button right here, and by clicking this button, I pushed it down, down, down. So now this is here, but it's actually behind her layer. So I'm kind of doing what you can't do on vMix. All of the layers in this software, all of the layers are movable. Whereas in vMix, your base layer is always your base layer. Then you can put other layers on top of it. You can move those around, as I learned today, but you can't move the base layer. So if you start with black, there's always black behind everything. And I can't, that's the background, it's always there. The way the OBSBot talent and the Director Mini work is that all of these layers are movable. So I could select her, that was the input, I could select her, and now you can see over here, I can move this forward or backward. They're all flexible. So if I move her backward, that's gonna bring my logo forward in essence. So let's do that. And now that's what happened. You can see now I can't move her any further back because she's the furthest back layer. And then all the other layers are in front of her. And then if you click that top one, you can actually see all the layers I have. So I've got the HDMI 1, the letter mark, and then the banner. And then I think, no, you can't. That would be cool if you could just, this way you can select which one you want. So if you've got 2 things that are full screen, like if I took this StreamTek and I left it to be, full screen or something like that, but now I want to select her and I can't because this other full screen thing is in front of her. They created this, so I can then say, okay, I want to do this. I want to select, now I'm selecting her, and then now I'm selecting that. So you can select different things if both of them are full screen. So for instance, if I had green screen person over a background and they're both full screen, but I wanted to like zoom in on the background a little bit, I have to select the background first. And using this key up here is how you do that. You select your background that way and you're able to grab it. And then if you don't want a layer, let's just say I didn't want that banner, you select on the banner and then you hit the little trash can, poof, gone. Now if I wanted to add another video, I can actually have as many as 3 videos on a single scene in the talent at one point in time. Talent and Director Mini. When I say talent or Director Mini, they're kind of interchangeable in terms of hardware, and the core functionalities of both devices are the same because it's the same hardware. So I can have, she's one video, this is a second video, and then let us see, I don't have a third video plugged in, but maybe I can add a video clip. Boop, 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 boop. Do I have any video clips in here? I don't think I do. Oh, vids. Yeah, let's bring in green screen guy. Now, this is what I was talking about. So I got green screen guy and I can't see the background at all. But if I get rid of the green, you can come over here to chroma key. Boom. It automatically found it. So now he's over top, but I can't grab her because his video is taking up the whole space as well. And that's where this really comes into play, in that now green screen weather, HDMI 2, StreamTek, you can see my 4 layers all lined up here, and I can, instead of touching this layer, I can touch her layer right there. But what this does is it lets you, or you could resize and just have him stand on her shoulder. Whoops, now I'm moving her. Didn't want to do that. Actually, put him over there and put this over here. I have to say, I really do like this functionality in that I'm just touching the screen. I'm just literally this one, move over here, that one, move over here, this one. And it's easy enough to just grab the S logo and I'll put it down there. So in terms of designing a scene and putting things together, oh, look at that, this black one. Remember, I've got to do the crop at the top. So let me touch that one. And then I wish these things were a little brighter, but you can bring that crop in, save. I don't know why it repositioned it so big when I did that, but we'll hit play, put him back over here on her shoulder. So that way I'm able to get rid of that black border at the top. I know there's still a screen grab thing going on there, and have all of these layers going at the same time, save. And that is a scene. It's fully finished, although interestingly enough, the preview doesn't, maybe it just finished. And you can then take this, copy it, give it a new name, scene 3. Oops, sorry, I'm in front of it. Let me go over here. Scene 3, and then copy. So now I've got the same scene twice, and I can alter one version. So I can go over to this one and say, this one, I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to take this layer out, save. So this way I can go between these two and everything is the same except that one thing that I've changed. Duplicating makes it easy to just easily take something that you've built, make a new version, and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it and get those things. Oh, I've doubled up my audio somewhere. You know why? Sorry. Thank you for that. Probably because it's coming through here. Go away. Where could I have doubled up my audio? I don't know. Hopefully that may have fixed it if I turned that down. Let me double check over here. And see if that does make a difference there. And does the OBSBot support, I'm guessing that's bonding. I do not believe in its current setup it does not. Hotspot it does, but not bonding. If you look at the Magewell Director Mini, there's another bar up here for bonding, and the bonding is not here on this version of the Talent. Doesn't mean they're not going to add it in the future, but the bonding that is supported by the Magewell Director Mini version of this tablet has bonding available through Speedify. So you set up a Speedify account and then you use it on here. Of course, the cool thing with Speedify is it's not just on that device. You could use it on your phone, on whatever you want, because it's a Speedify account, and Speedify has clients for most everything. But thank you for the question. Coming out of here, so that is layering, you know, using layers in here, and even the chalkboard I have right here. If I click on that and I click edit, yes, it's a background, but you know, I am able to right here just start adding layers on top of it, including both of my HDMI layers, and you can have those HDMI sources on every single one of your inputs, kind of like I do for this show. Like I have multiple scenes. I have the scene with just me. I have the scene with just the background, me over top of the background, me next to the background, and me next to the background if it's 4:3, you know, and these are just different versions of the same scene duplicated and tweaked. So this way, if I'm doing a tablet or something like this, I have a better set off to the side for a tablet than I do if I'm using a video source like a laptop or something like that. This works for that better. And then if I want to actually point at something, I've got me over top of it. So here's another construct. See these things over here? And if you put me in the middle, type of thing. So that's how I use the layers in the Magewell Director Mini that I use to produce the show in terms of switching and sources and things like that. That's what I'm using to create these constructs with the rounded edges and the logo at the bottom and things like that. That's what's making this, doing the key in the background, my layer, this layer, this layer. So right here, you've got 4 layers going on in this one input alone. So let's continue along to not that one, that one. So that was the tiny little ObsBot talent. Now let's take a look at the YOLO box. And I believe this is an Ultra because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 inputs. You know what I don't have in here? I probably don't have an SD card for media. So let me do that. Let me add an SD card for some media. So I've got stills and whatever else I want to add. All right. So now let's go to the output of the box. And you can see I've got 2 of my inputs coming in here. These inputs are coming from that little $90 quad HD player. So I've got a video file that plays and just keeps looping, and it's spitting out 4 quadrants of a 4K file. And what I've done is I've used that to give me 4 discrete HD video files that play for like 3 minutes and then loop and then loop. So it makes it easy to do demos like this, where I've got this guy right here with this green screen. And let's just say I want him to be standing and talking next to this guy who's up there on stage. So this is pretty easy to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a chroma key on this guy. Tap it on. You can see that was pretty easy. And I have to say the keying on the YOLO box is, very easy. You could just drag that slider and then you can use this to clean it up a little bit, smooth it in the hair. You don't want to go too far because it'll start eating him up. So it's pretty easy to manage. If you just want to see exactly, take the smoothest off and you could see boop, 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 right there. And then you just add a little bit of smoothness so it's not crackly on the edges. And that's it. And then you can add a background image. But I don't want to add a background image. Done. I just want to keep him bare so that I can have a new scene. We'll do picture-in-picture video. We'll do this one and this one. Done. And now there he is. I take the border off. I scale him up. I move him over. And there he is. I created a scene with 2 layers. Done. So now I can, there it is in, there it is out. You can see there's a little jitter when it comes in. I don't know why that is, but yeah, there's definitely a glitch in the main video when I add that pip over top of it. And then of course there's a whole separate graphics section. So if you wanted to add graphics over top of your video, there I got 2 graphics. Here's 3 graphics over top of it. So the graphics section is not part of your layers. Whereas in the in vMix, you also I have 4 different overlays that I could do separately in vMix. I could do the corner bug or whatever separately in vMix, bring it up, bring it out while the scene continues on. And I'm not switching scenes, I'm just adding an overlay. It's like a downstream key. The talent does not have that per se. The talent has graphics, but you have to like toggle between things. Let's go back to the talent and cancel. So I've got this playing, and then I've got a whole graphics section too, which then you have to like load with graphics. So if I wanted to create a new graphic, let's do a lower third. Here's my lower third, move it down to the bottom, and I wish you could see the background. Save. And now I've got this lower third, and I can tap it and there it is on, and tap it, there it is off. So you've got that, but it's not part of the scene, and I kind of wish it was a little bit more elegant, because you can't fade that in, you can't fade it out. You could actually, let me see. Edit, transition. So I could fade. There we go. No, that's not fade. That's like the opposite of fade. Oh, fade. Fade. Save. That's still flying in and out. Edit. Transition. In. Fade. It's kind of hard to see the red over top of the red. Do I hit that one? There we go. And then it automatically did the fade out. So let's try it. Fade it in, fade it out. There we go. Got to dig into all the settings of this. Looks like my video stopped on there. So that is on there, and on the Pro, you could do the same thing. You tap these, and that fades out. So they, these things fade in and out automatically. You don't get to like really choose how that works. This QR code thing that I've got going in, it paints, but this is actually coming in from a web source. So that web source takes a moment. So when I tap it, there it comes. It has to go to the web, rasterize it, bring it in, and that rasterization takes a little bit of time. But you can see the layering is like, I've got picture in picture. If you wanted more than picture in picture, you don't have the ability on the YOLO box to do 5 layers. You could do split view, a side by side, a news layout. Let's do the side by side. You could do him and him, done. And then you could, I don't know, change the spacing and then put a background behind it. I don't like that background. Let's do that. You can change the border thickness. But this is more akin to using the 8x super source. It's sort of like, these are pre-built, kind of like packaged. There's some tweaking, but it's not a complete free-for-all in terms of how you're putting things together. Done. I do believe they did add a custom on here. So now on this one, I can say this and this. I don't know. Let's start with that. And then I put it here. And again, you're going to run into the same, add this one, done. Put him over here. And then you got the layers thing. Does this interface not look a little similar to something else? And I like the replace over here, so you can go and replace something. Let's just say add, choose a source. Done. Please select one pictures. Well, I can't choose a source. Save, save, save. Because I need to add more sources. So let me go add an image. Let's see if I can add a bookcase. Let's add a bookcase. And let's add a video. Let's add a video. Let's do that fancy water thing. No, you know what? Let's do, let's do green screen guy. He's popular. And you can then come into the green screen guy, do the chroma key, turn it on, pop, gone. Done. And then also we have to do a little bit of cropping because you can see this cropping is a little different, but I can get rid of that black bar at the top, fit to the screen, done. So now that is available as a source. There he is, he's talking. And then I have the water available as a source. And I can go back into my customized, edit, and let's add another layer. Let's add a green screen guy. Here he is over here. We're going to put him over here. Save. And then we're going to add my little water. Done. We're going to take that. We're going to put that. That's kind of like in the way. Maybe I should have that behind. Can I move that down a layer? Yes, I can. There we go. I've got 4 of them going. And I'm going to hit save. And then when I click play on that, it plays both of those video clips. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4 layers on there. And again, if you wanted to have graphics, you could bring the graphics up over top of that as well. All right, so that is a look at layering. And again, there's a lot of pre-built scenes in the YOLO, which makes it really, really popular for people just getting into things. To be able to say, oh, I just want two people side by side, two people side by side, boom, boom, done. And then how thick do I want to border? Where do I want the separator? Let's move it over so it's even, and done. So now I have it. I mean, that's pretty simple. Having that simplicity in terms of like getting that new scene up and running is really handy, especially because the YOLO box is able to bring in remote callers, and you can't build a scene with a remote caller until they are there as an input. You can't pre-build it and have a caller populate a scene that you already have built. So you have to have a simple way to build a scene with the remote caller once the remote caller is there, either just before pre-show or during the show. If you have a producer, he's like, oh, okay, Jack's here. Let me build a scene with Jack and side by side and go. You know, that's very cool. I got a question come in. Can you control them from a laptop or tablet, the layers, before you use them? I do not think so. I know you can do certain things with the OBSBot talent and the Magewell with the app, but I don't know about building a scene with layers. I have not tried that. I'm going to admit I have not tried that. And I don't have a separate tablet set up here to try it right now. So I apologize, but I'm also not going to make up an answer. Why in vMix the green screen is not transparent enough? Is there still phrase image bleed? I didn't tweak the green screen in vMix very much. I just threw it up there and I hit one of the presets. It's got 3 different presets. I hit preset 2. Oh, looks good enough. This is just a quick demo. I'm not actually building these things for broadcast, so I'm not tweaking them to be as perfect as they can be. Pocket video. So can you fade the pip in at all? Yeah, you can by having 2 different scenes, one with the pip, one without, and then fade between them. So you have that ability. And one of the key things with vMix is you have these scenes, so you can have a scene, you can have 2 different scenes or whatever, and at any time you can see right here, I can cut between them, or let me come down here. Let me just go like this. Click. So you can cut between these at any time, and then you can fade between them at any time. So that way you can fade things in and fade things out, and then cut between things as well. So cut, fade, almost all your transitions are available all the time. Whereas with the other appliances, the OBSBot and the YOLO box, they're designed so that you select what your transition is, cut or fade, and then that's always your transition, which is kind of annoying. I kind of wish you had the ability to fade to videos and cut cameras, and then fade to the end slide and fade out of the end slide and things like that. You don't really have the ability to change your transition as you're doing it. You have to like make a special note to go over there and change the transition and then come back and then do it, and then change the transition back and then come over here and do it. They don't have the ability to have those 2 or 3 options. Like if you had a regular video switcher, you would have auto and cut always available. And if auto is a half-second fade, that solves 99% of everything you ever need to do. I'm cutting between cameras, fade to graphic. Back out, fade back out of graphic. I'm cutting between cameras. Let me fade to a picture-in-picture, person talking about a slide, and then fade back to the multi-camera live switch. Those 2 things alone, but the talent and the YOLO box don't have the ability to have multiple transitions available to you all the time, so that you can on an as needed basis. Ooh, today I'm gonna pick this one and then this one and then this. To have those available like that, they don't work that way, unfortunately. Hola, descende Argentina. Thank you for tuning in from Argentina. I appreciate that. It's a long way down there. Your transparency is so clean. What is it that you are using? This transparency is actually a blue screen. See if I can, yeah, you can see a little bit of blue on my fingers. This transparency is a blue screen that is being done in the Magewell Director Mini. I used to use green screen. Green screen's a little easier. Blue is a little more finicky, I should say. It's harder. If you want to see what that actually looks like, I can just take HDMI 1 and save, and I just built this scene on the fly. This is what it looks like. So this is live. This is me in the studio, and you can see, and then I come over to my main input, and then that's my Stream for Us background. So I'm doing the blue screen on the fly. It may look a little cleaner than the green screen because the blue is closer to the purple than the green would be. So it kind of blends in a little better, maybe. Let's do the correct pointing device. The YOLO box is almost a perfect machine. It's only missing an FPGA for smooth video processing. Yes, the smooth video processing, even in this demo, we saw that, let's just go back to the YOLO and go side to side. Even in this demo, we saw that if I am going between my plane and I bring that one thing in, you can see the background video jumps. And this is not a very difficult thing to do. That's one of the things, I use the Director Mini because it's bulletproof. It may not be as fast to use as a YOLO box. It may not have all those cool preset picture-in-picture things like the YOLO box. I can't bring in remote guests like the YOLO box. There's a lot of things that the YOLO box really does do. I mean, a lot of extra features, more icing on the cake and everything. But I need, for what I do, I want it to not do this. So that is why I use the Director Mini for my show. Now, the YOLO box does have its place. If you're not doing that, I mean, if you're just cutting between these two things, you know, ooh, there's, see, even when I go to that one, it's hard to see the jump here, but I think he's still jumping when I go between the single to the multi-view. So there's still, I think, refinements, and this is all software. Remember, these things are software, and that can be fixed through the course of processing and updating the software. Hey, John Knutson. Thank you for being here. If anybody has caught John, he's got a YouTube channel as well, and he is a very knowledgeable video producer and working out in the industry as well. Pocket Video School chimes in. I was wondering if fading would eliminate the glitch you experienced on the YOLO box. I think it was. Let's check. That's the magic of a live show. Hey, you know what? All right, so in the YOLO box, you have to come over here. Where is it? Transitions now. Now there's transitions. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a fade, and we're going to say half-second fade. So we're answering this question live. Will changing the transition fix the glitch? So let us go. Well, I can just leave that there, and now we come over here, and then come to this. No, I still see his hand hesitate. It's interesting. I don't see it when it goes out, but I do see it more when it comes in. It seems to be not as glitchy most of the time. You know, there I just saw it again, but I don't necessarily want to fade all the time. And in order for me to, you know, if I've got my graphics up and I've got my inputs up, then now I want to cut. I have to come over here to the menu. I have to select cut, and then I have to, you know, go back to my graphics. That is a pain in the butt to me. I don't want to have to do that. You know, maybe we could use some of the black space at the top of the screen here or something. And, you know, there's other content up here in terms of streaming, data rate, and things like that on the left side. Ooh, can I do that? Right here. But there's space up there that could be, you know, cut and auto, you know, and just leave them up there so that both of these options are available to me. I don't think anybody's going to be using a directional wipe, although that is kind of cool. Zoop. He got beamed into place. Let's do a different translation. No. Window slice. No. Directional wipe. Are people going to be doing these things live on a stream? Probably not. Yeah, not going to be using that. Not going to be using that. Probably not. Well, I also got it set really fast for that. Let's do it again. Why does it look like there's a reflection on the top of it, but not the bottom? That's weird. So I'm not going to be using those things. You know, I don't know why a lot of the industry is so, hey, let's put in all of these, you know, wacky transitions. Is there a big audience out there for really cool transitions? I don't know. I don't think so. When it happens, so what can I do to accomplish a clean and clear transparency? Because I want to add solid colors, but my wall is painted green, chroma green. If your wall is painted chroma green, it takes light. You need good lighting. So I actually have a video on my YouTube channel about the light that I'm using here. It's 4 feet wide and very soft. So you could see when I go to here, you know, I still have some wrinkles on the edge over here mostly, but I'm not casting a shadow. So even around my fingers, it's very, very flat. That way, you know, the key is able to like look at this color and take this color out. If I move really close to it, now you can see that I'm messing up the color, and that would probably dramatically affect the key. So if I move really close to it, oh, nope, still able to pull it. Actually, I'm touching it right now. I am touching the background. So it's just able to do a pretty good job with the key. And green is actually easier than blue, I think, for software to pick. You just can't have anything green on. And as you can see, I have a greenish shirt, so this would probably not work well with a green screen. Maybe the glitch is because it's video playing and not a live camera. Actually, the things I'm switching between are coming in as cameras. So they are not that one, this one. They are coming in as 2 cameras. Those 2 sources that you see as the guy talking on HDMI 1 and the person talking about the painting on camera HDMI 2. Those are coming in as cameras. Those are not videos being played back within the YOLO box. I did add a video to that is this video down here, that one, but cut. These 2 are both video inputs, and even there you can see the guy on the left here jumped a little bit when I cut to it. So that's just what's going on with this. No matter how I try to cut around it to it, have the same thing, you know, in both scenes, or cut into something completely different, I'm seeing, you know, a little jerk of data, and it could be part of the resync process too, because like I says, these cameras are coming in non-synchronized, so they need to be coming in ripped apart, and it may just be like, you know, okay, now it's synced, and it catches up like that. I'm not an engineer, and I don't play one on TV. So that is a look. This has been a look at using layers to bring multiple inputs into a scene that you can use with a lot of today's hardware. We're no longer talking about mix and effects, MEs, ME1, ME2, and then upper, you know, chroma key, luma key, downstream key, and all these different keys. we're just adding layers and we're creating scenes at this point. And I think this has been a good look at vMix, and then the OBSBot Talent slash Director Mini, and the YOLO Box. I used the YOLO Box Ultra. There's the YOLO Box Pro. There's the YOLO Box Mini, and they've teased the YOLO Box Extreme. So, and they have the InStream as well, which also does the same exact thing. It has multiple layers, and I use that in the Instagram. And unfortunately, that was not plugged in, so it has since died. So the InStream, the Instagram feed is off right now. So with that, I hope this has helped you to understand the ways you can leverage layers in video production, the various introduction to some of the tools that you can use layers in, and how you can leverage layers in each of those tools, especially that cool drop shadow thing that I showed you in vMix. That's a cool trick. Anyway, hopefully this has helped you, and I look forward to being able to talk to you next week. Thanks for watching.